Think about this from a legal perspective. With us now is Chris Sauter, who's a Democratic attorney and co-author of The Recount Primer, and attorney Anthony Holm is with us as well, a Republican strategist. Good of you both to be here.
How you doing,
Thanks for having us.
Chris, what is your take on this thing legally? It seems to me if people are being harassed to register to vote over and over and over again, there's something wrong with that.
Well, I think there's no doubt that there seems to be some problems here, and the authorities in both Nevada and Ohio appear to be addressing them, as well as apparently Congress, according to your report. But I think it's important for your viewers to know that what's getting lost in all these reports about voter fraud is that none of this translates into actual voter fraud on Election Day. And there's a reason for that. There are internal checks, and I think your guest before the break made that point, that the Bureau of Elections contacted her. And in fact, what happens is that anybody who registers by mail has to vote in person. In other words, they can't vote absentee, and they have to show up in person with identification, so that the system actually works. And I think that's why, in spite of the fact that the Bush administration has made prosecution of voter fraud a high priority, there's been only a handful of convictions.
The system isn't working. Clearly the system isn't working, guys. We have Acorn affiliates in Ohio last presidential cycle who are giving out crack cocaine to register voters. They're registering people under the name.
Well, is that confirmed?
Yes.
I don't have that.
Well,
that's a preposterous statement.
No,
well, 4 years ago.
Four years ago.
Wait, let me finish. You had your turn, Chris. We got to let Anthony go. But I need some proof of something like that.
Well, look, we have the FBI raiding the Vegas office days ago, and we found the entire Dallas Cowboys football team starting lineup registered voters. We've had this. It's systemic of Acorn. Washington State, they signed an agreement with the authorities saying, yes, we went to the library and we just pulled out names. We have documented instances of Dick Tracy and Mary Poppins being registered by Acorn affiliates. Well, this is the tip of the iceberg, guys. This is taxpayer dollars. They've endorsed Obama. Hold on, they've endorsed Obama, and they were intimately involved in the banking and the housing crisis by pushing legislation.
Chris, you mentioned that the system caught this with our previous guests. And that's great that the system caught it. But isn't there a danger if people are getting paid by the signature to register people over and over and over to vote, Chris, that the system won't catch some of these, and it leaves us open for more fraud, and surely nobody wants more voter fraud.
Let me ask you, who is going to turn up? Is Terrell Owens going to turn up in Las Vegas with an ID that says that he's Terrell Owens? That's not going to happen.
It is T.O.
And it hasn't happened.
We're setting a situation where
Anthony,
we're empowering people.
I let you finish. I let you finish. Let me finish.
Please.
I let you finish. Let me finish. 4 years ago, we heard these same hysterical cries of voter fraud during registration involving Acorn.
Wait a minute. I can't let you do that, Chris.
New Mexico,
Chris, now you have to wait because it's my show.
Mexico.
Chris, we just heard a woman who said she gets harassed every time she goes to the supermarket or gets off the bus. That there are people on every corner trying to get her to register. That to shut them up, she just goes ahead and does it and doesn't realize the jeopardy she's putting herself in regarding her own vote, which is clearly very precious to her, until the Board of Elections calls her. I mean, you can't be endorsing this activity. Let Chris answer, please, Anthony.
And the FBI found 59 felons canvassing people in Nevada.
As I was saying, 4 years ago, there were similar allegations, and U.S. attorneys in several states investigated them. Some lost their jobs because they declined to prosecute because there was insufficient evidence. Now, let's make a distinction between voter registration fraud, which is what's being alleged here, and election day fraud.
They're two different things.
And there's been no evidence that people are turning up. That 6 versions of this woman that we saw on TV are turning up and voting. It's not happening. And so, yes, let's crack down on Acorn and any other organization or person who is committing voter registration fraud, but there's absolutely no evidence that this is translating into bogus votes on Election Day.
Anthony Holm would be here to respond and get the last word now, but for some reason the satellites dropped off. So conspiracy theorists begin here. Chris Sauter, Anthony, wherever you are out there somewhere, thank you both. I appreciate it. Hey, we're not going to